He humiliated her, mocked her car and her skin color, not knowing she was an FBI agent. One action of hers turned his life upside down and revealed a truth that could no longer be hidden. But let's start from the beginning. Anissa Hunt, a 35-year-old black woman, stopped her old Cadillac to adjust the GPS. The car, over 20 years old, was a family keepsake from her late father. She had just returned from a long FBI assignment and felt a rare moment of peace under the evening sky. Before entering the route, flashing police lights appeared in her rearview mirror. A smug, middle-aged white officer approached her window. "Seriously?" she asked, rolling it down. "I didn't break any laws." "Sure," he sneered, eyeing her car. "This junk looks like it's breaking the law just sitting here. Got papers, or is this a stolen car?" Calmly, Anissa handed over her license and registration, but the officer didn't take them. "You're just here to cause trouble," he mocked loudly, drawing attention. A small crowd began recording. "Is this standard procedure?" Anissa asked. "Here, I decide who's breaking the law," he shot back, glancing at her papers without touching them. "Your documents look as suspicious as this car." Keeping her composure, Anissa replied, "If you don't explain this stop, I'll escalate it to your superiors." The officer's smirk faded. "Call whoever you want," he said coldly. "But first, open the trunk. This is my territory, and I make the rules." The crowd began to thicken. People whispered amongst themselves, and some started recording the scene on their phones. Anissa stood calm on the outside, but inside, anger surged. Her hands clenched into fists. She knew this wasn't just a document check. It was a power play and public humiliation. "Open the trunk," Officer Markson ordered, his aggression barely concealed. "Do you have a warrant?" Anissa replied coolly. "Because without one, you have no right." "You're telling me what I can and can't do?" Markson stepped closer, nearly pressing his face against her car window. "You really don't understand who you're talking to, do you?" His partner, Officer Davis, looked uneasy. He stepped closer and quietly suggested, "Maybe we should just let her go. Her documents are in order. There's nothing suspicious." "Are you serious?" Markson snapped, his irritation spilling over. "Look at her, and look at this car. It's obvious she's hiding something." "I'm not hiding anything," Anissa interjected. "You're continuing to violate my rights." She pulled out her phone and began recording, speaking loudly for everyone to hear. "I'm being stopped by Officer Markson without cause. He's attempting to search my car without a warrant and refusing to explain the reason for the stop." "Oh, you want to play activist?" Markson sneered. He snatched the phone from her hands, letting out a derisive laugh. "Record all you want, but I'll make sure you spend the rest of your night in a cell." That was the breaking point. The crowd started shouting in support of Anissa. "Give her back her phone," a man in the front yelled. "She didn't do anything. We saw it all," added a woman who was also filming. "Do you even realize what you're doing?" another bystander said, holding up their phone. "This is live. The whole town is watching you abuse your power." Markson glanced at the crowd, his face reddening. Davis tried again, more urgently this time. "Markson, seriously, maybe we should back off. People are getting upset." But Markson ignored him. He pulled out his handcuffs and started toward Anissa. "That's it. I've had enough. You're under arrest for resisting authority." Anissa didn't flinch, but her gaze turned cold, almost icy. "If you're really planning to arrest a federal agent," she said firmly, "make sure you know exactly what you're doing." The crowd gasped. Davis froze. "What did you just say?" Markson slowed his approach, his confidence wavering. Anissa calmly reached into her pocket and pulled out her FBI badge, raising it high enough for both the officers and the crowd to see. "This is a misunderstanding, right?" she said, locking eyes with Markson. "Or do you want to keep going?" Markson froze, his bravado evaporating. He took her badge and inspected it, his hands trembling. Cheers erupted from the crowd. "She's the FBI! Are you serious, Markson? You messed with the wrong one!" someone shouted. Markson faltered. He opened his mouth to speak but realized it was too late. The crowd continued recording, and his partner, Davis, took a step back, as if trying to distance himself from the unfolding disaster. "You knew who she was?" Davis whispered. Markson gritted his teeth, but stayed silent. The crowd chanted in support of Anissa, and the situation spiraled out of his control. He stood frozen, his arrogance replaced by the dawning realization that his actions could cost him his career. Markson's eyes darted nervously between the FBI badge and Anissa. His earlier arrogance crumbled, replaced by sheer panic. The crowd wasn't letting up. Disapproving voices rang out, and cameras remained fixed on him. Officer Davis edged farther away, as if trying to distance himself from the mess. "Well, officer?" Anissa asked loudly, ensuring her voice carried. "Are you ready to explain why you've abused your power and threatened a federal agent?" Markson mumbled something incoherent, his face flushed. He attempted to return her badge, but Anissa didn't take it. "My phone, please," she said firmly, nodding toward the device still in his hand. Reluctantly, he handed it back, avoiding eye contact. The crowd, however, wasn't letting him off the hook. "Where's the apology?" someone shouted. "You humiliated her in front of everyone." "How about cuffing yourself for a change?" added another voice, met with laughter and cheers. Anissa turned to address the onlookers. "This man tried to humiliate me and abuse his authority," she declared. "But what's worse, this isn't the first time. How many others have suffered at the hands of people like him?" The crowd erupted into applause, and someone yelled, "This needs to go online! Let the whole world see!" Markson's partner Davis looked anxiously between the crowd and his colleague before stepping forward. "Listen," he began hesitantly. "Maybe we should just—" "No," Anissa cut him off sharply. "We're not settling this quietly. Your actions reflect a systemic problem, and now everyone will know." At that moment, another patrol car pulled up. Out stepped a tall man in a captain's uniform, his face stern as he took in the scene. The crowd, the cameras, and a visibly shaken Markson. "What's going on here?" the captain demanded, his eyes narrowing as he addressed Markson. "It seems your officer thought he could humiliate someone in public," Anissa said, stepping forward. She held up her badge. "But he picked the wrong person this time." The captain froze momentarily, the weight of the situation sinking in. He turned sharply to Markson. "Officer Markson, return to the station immediately. We'll discuss your conduct later." "But, Captain," Markson stammered. "No buts," the captain interrupted sharply, his tone leaving no room for argument. "You've caused enough trouble already." The crowd erupted again, jeering and shouting. "Fire him!" "Did you see him laughing? He thought he could get away with it." Markson clenched his jaw and stormed back to his car, throwing a final glare at Anissa. Davis followed reluctantly, but stopped to mumble. "I told him to stop. I'm sorry about all this." "Apologize to everyone who's been through this," Anissa replied coldly. The captain lingered, turning to Anissa with a cautious tone. "Ms. Hunt," he began, "I'm sure this is all a misunderstanding." "This wasn't a misunderstanding," Anissa interrupted, her voice unwavering. "It's a reflection of how your officers operate, and now it's a reflection on your department." The crowd roared in agreement. Videos of the incident were already spreading across social media, fueling the discussion. Anissa fixed the captain with a steady gaze. "We're not sweeping this under the rug. Your department has some explaining to do." The captain nodded grimly, realizing the situation was far beyond his control. By the next day, the video of the incident had gone viral. Thousands of people condemned Markson's behavior, demanding his immediate dismissal. Protesters gathered outside the police station, and local news outlets buzzed with discussions about systemic racism within the police force. Anissa appeared on the news saying, "This incident is just the tip of the iceberg. I was able to defend my rights, but how many others are left unprotected?" Under public pressure, Markson was fired, and an internal investigation was launched. Davis corroborated Anissa's account, and the city council ordered an independent audit of the police department. The police chief issued a public apology, but it wasn't enough. The community demanded widespread reforms. Anissa didn't stop there. She continued speaking out, using her platform to shed light on broader issues of injustice. Her story inspired countless others to stand up for their rights. Final scene. Anissa climbed into her old Cadillac, her expression calm yet determined. Her phone buzzed with an invitation to speak at another event. "Of course," she answered, a small smile playing on her lips. "We're far from finished.